What is it called? What is your podcast?
Pro Talk.
Pro Talk.
Yeah.
I don't think I have seen it.
It's very new.
I can't.
You're the
Okay.
third guest.
Am I?
Yeah,
Who have
yeah.
you had before then?
Well,
Who am I following?
a
in the
couple of
footsteps
weeks, I had a chat with James West.
of? James West. Who's James?
Yeah,
West?
he goes. We go to the same gym in Southbourne.
Oh, yeah.
And he does loads of kind of yachting and boating and water sports stuff.
Mhm.
He's from New Zealand, but he's been over here for a few years, I think.
Right. Okay.
And then before that, I might nudge your keys.
Yes.
I can't remember what framing that's got on it.
Yeah.
Who did we have before that?
James West.
Oh, a friend of mine, Sam Todd, who also goes to the same gym. We're on like the cardio bikes, and I was like, "Ah, mate, what do you do?" He goes, "Oh, I'm a sports advertising photographer." I went, "No
Really?
shit, that's what I do." And
What are the chances?
so and then had a chat with him, and so just at the moment it's just local people, but there's a few more that I'd like to do it with, but it's just like a personal project and trying to have a chat like we've already been doing whilst I've been setting up, but
Yeah.
finding things of value that might be interesting to people either starting off in their career
Yeah.
or midway through or whatever. So maybe we've got some wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not. So welcome to Pro Talk. It's called. One day there'll be like a neon sign up. I don't know how it would work out here.
We're in the backdrop that is made up partly of a hedge that we planted together.
Yeah.
That's quite
About,
apt, isn't it? We're
3
growing
years
together,
ago.
Vince.
Yeah,
With the
basically.
background.
Hands and knees crawling through right here. Look at us now.
We've made it.
So yeah, we'll see. I've got some basic questions, but we'll probably wander off topic a little bit. But what first sparked your interest in photography or videography?
I'd say I've been interested in the medium of television and film and animation. The moving image, I think, is what really captured my imagination.
Okay.
As a teenager.
Yeah.
I think I've been much more into watching TV growing up, watching films maybe through my teenage years, watching wildlife documentaries, David Attenborough documentaries. That was a massively founding part of kind of my imagination.
Yeah.
And seeing the world and how that world kind of translated to me. I'd say my dad was an artist and an art teacher, so I think we had kind of art stuff around, photography stuff around. He was a photographer. He had like a Super 8 camera, old 35mm film camera.
Oh wow!
That gradually kind of found its way to us and into my hands during my college years.
Yeah.
And I think I just gravitated towards making little things. And back in the 90s, you didn't really have access to video cameras very easily.
Yeah,
it's not like today where there's
all
everyone.
proper video cameras. They're all like little mini VHS.
Yeah,
that was coming
exactly.
out, right? Yeah.
So you kind of had to really purchase equipment in order to make anything. When I was growing up, which was not really as accessible as it is now. That's for sure.
Like the iPhone 17 with like people are using that to shoot like documentaries.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So
a bit of a change.
Yeah. Rewind 30 years when I was a teenager, just getting access to filming and video editing equipment was just really hard. And it really only happened when I was at college. So I did media studies at college.
Okay.
Started to make little animations out of paper cutout stuff.
Oh, brilliant.
Like stop motion animation.
Yeah.
That was a bit experimental. And one of the first things I made when I was, I think, 17 or so, made it onto ITV Meridian, this really early morning slot of this kind of like community, you can make stuff and it can go on it. And yeah, it was probably at like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah,
so kind of the first thing.
Did you watch it live or did you?
I think I did, yeah. And I got
Yeah,
video
just record it. Trying to record it.
And I think it was just a case of being really interested in television, watching wildlife television in particular, being fascinated by the underwater world. I did a lot of swimming growing up.
Because that's what you do. So what's your main job now? People might not know.
Yeah, I'm fast forwarding a bit. So yeah, I am an underwater cameraman.
Yeah.
I can say that now because I think most of the jobs that I do now involve underwater, essentially. I've always been a general cameraman. So I've always done topside filming.
Yeah.
Drone filming when that came along about 6 or 7 years ago. But essentially I've always worked in sort of wildlife, people and wildlife, that kind of thing, documentaries.
So from very early on, that was like your inspiration and you're actually doing it now.
Yeah,
For real, yeah.
I basically, I think from the age of 14, 15,
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
remember,
keep going, keep going.
yeah, I remember watching, things like Wildlife on One, The Natural World, um, anything that David Attenborough narrated, basically, I loved watching.
Cool. So
And
yeah,
yeah,
you've so that's
and
it's a
here we
bit
are.
it's a bit later on, one of the questions, but was there a stage when you so for me it was like, because this is all, I'm not trying to drive it onto me. Got you here, but I want to talk about me. No, for me it was the first front cover.
Ah,
For
cool.
trying to get a front cover for a
Yes.
magazine, and
Yeah.
when I finally got that, it wasn't the hugest magazine, but still pretty decent. I
Yeah.
was like, okay, so that felt like I was on the right path, or I was making it, or yeah, successful, or something like that. Was
Yeah.
there a stage where where you thought, oh, okay, I'm all right, I'm pretty decent, or
I'd say there's been a few breakthrough moments. One of which was probably in my late 20s, maybe 28 or so.
yeah,
That's when I got offered my first job as an actual cameraman to go and film a series. And
okay,
I went away to Gabon in Africa for 6 blocks of 6 weeks on a big Animal Planet thing called
wow,
Gorilla School.
okay,
And that really, well, for me, I'd done lots of little bits, incremental steps to get to that point. But that was really the first proper job that I was given of a big series.
nice,
And really, it just took a lot of pressure off, because up until then, it was just getting a few days here and there, scratching around, making corporate videos,
okay,
getting all sorts of experience in all sorts of different fields. And that finally was like, I hadn't made it, but I'd finally got to that first rung of
yeah,
the ladder to call myself a cameraman. From
yeah,
that point onwards,
yeah.
I kind of, yes, I can call myself a cameraman now.
That's probably a better way to frame the questions. What was your first big job? So the cover was good, but yeah, my first big job was like for Adidas, like years later, and it was
Yeah.
like big budget. I was like, oh right, this is like it's happening. You
Yeah.
feel like you're more established. So
Yeah.
lovely. It's,
And I think another one was probably the first time I had my footage narrated by Sir David Attenborough. That's like
oh
a
man,
massive
wow,
seal of approval
yeah,
of, and it wasn't necessarily a big BBC thing, but it was something that I'd filmed in Singapore, um, for an Asian company, and they were doing, I think, something for National Geographic.
hmm
But it was a little sequence of a seahorse, and yeah, it was great to see
brilliant.
your work being narrated by pretty much
Yeah,
God.
yeah, pretty much. So who was your inspiration when you were starting out?
Um, David Attenborough,
Okay.
goes without saying. Um, who else? I suppose I looked up to other camera people in the field.
Yeah, that's
There's
what I
the guy
thought.
called Doug Allen, who's a
Okay.
Scottish cameraman. He's still around. He's a bit of a legend of the industry.
Yeah.
He would often be the guy that you saw at the end of the program, the making of. And I'd seen him speak live as well. And he'd worked on Blue Planet, and he'd done lots of polar work, lots of polar bear stuff. And he was someone who I think I really looked up to, thinking, well, he's pretty much doing the career that I'd like to do.
Yeah.
So I paid attention to what he was up to.
Okay.
But there's been a few senior figures in the industry that I've kind of tried to follow in the footsteps of.
Brilliant.
Gavin Thurston was another top name that I kind of always saw on the credits.
Yeah.
I always tried to study like who were these people and imagine what they did,
Yeah.
and um yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. What were the first steps you took to turn your skills into a career? So I guess that's when you were started
Mm.
studying though, and
Yeah, so I think studying A levels, one of them was media production, or
mhm,
sorry, media studies. It was, that was really quite a lot of practical work,
yeah,
making videos, making animations. I then went to university, studied television production at Bournemouth University. That was a
yeah,
massive step towards wanting to work in TV production.
yeah,
Um, After graduating, um, I think I decided that I really wanted to get into the underwater side of things.
yeah,
I knew that being underwater with a camera, I think something that had really captured my imagination from teenage years. And after university, that was the first time where the next September, you don't know what you're going to be doing. It's like
yeah.
you've got to finally
I
start
remember that
fighting
when
your
I
own
left.
life.
Yeah, when I left university, I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
What now? It's all
Yeah,
down to you.
yeah, huge.
It's not just like, oh, the next year, start the next year of education. No, it's just like, right, what do you really
Yeah,
want to do? And I really thought about it. And I did do some temporary kind of jobs. I didn't go straight into the industry at all. I really took my time to consider my options. I stuck around in Bournemouth for a couple more years. There was a production company that the university had that was making small little programs that went on
Mhm.
ITV Meridian to kind of cut my
Oh,
teeth
okay.
on a
Yeah.
small scale. That's the first time I picked up a camera. But I'd done a lot of sound recording through university. And that was a chance to start working in production. A big move then I made, really, I had to decide that I needed to go to Bristol. That's the whole
It's funny, I was
hub
in the
of
back
my
of my mind
industry.
because of the animation centre there, and
That's right.
yeah,
Aardman
that's
Animation,
right.
which is
Yeah, yeah.
based in Bristol. The BBC Natural History Unit is based in Bristol.
Okay.
And because they are there, a lot of other independent companies that make wildlife programs are all based in Bristol. It
Mhm.
was pretty much the world centre
Yeah.
for that industry is Bristol, and I'd never been yet. Anyway, I applied and I got work experience at the BBC Natural History Unit.
Okay. Cool.
This is when I was 24, so a couple of years after graduating. And then I had 2 weeks, and I should say, at university, I'd made a children's wildlife program for my third year major piece of work.
All right. Yeah.
Um, and I really enjoyed that process. And so I'd already sent that VHS tape to the producers of the Really Wild Show, which
Okay.
was still going on
I
at the
remember
time.
the really wild show.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and when I arrived in Bristol, I got 2 weeks work experience. I then kind of like, I suppose, networked a little bit and
Mm.
started talking to other things and see what other productions were going
Yeah.
on. As it happens, the Really Wild Show was still going on. I saw my video was still on the shelf of that office. I
Oh,
was like,
really?
I did that. Oh, cool. I sent that off to see. And then I created another 2 weeks work experience on the Really Wild Show, which is already a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
I'd already felt like that was almost a I've made it moment,
Yeah.
really. Um, and then they luckily they needed someone more than just 2 weeks work experience. So it turned into a 3 month job for me.
Oh, perfect.
So I got to work with people like Michaela Strachan, Steve Backshall,
Yeah.
Nick Baker,
Okay.
really established. That's where we first met Steve, and we've since had more than a 20-year working relationship together.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So that's the beginnings of that, basically.
Yeah. So it seems, yeah. So similar comparisons is when I left university. Yeah, I kind of walked out like, what am I going to do? And
Yeah.
then managed to get work in uh, a film processing lab, so
Yes.
processing photography, film, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Black C41 and E6 and Metro Imaging.
Yeah.
And that's where I started to figure what I was going to do. And then knew I needed to get into a studio
Yeah.
to work with other photographers
Yes.
and, be their assistant and loading film and all of this kind of stuff. And that was how we started to network. So similar patterns we can maybe give advice to people is even if you were in education, but then you network, don't you? And you build up your
Yeah.
contacts and move around in that kind of
It's where the
field.
work comes from. Network.
Yeah.
I spent 20 years building up that where building your own reputation, and work only really comes to you if people already know you,
Yeah.
have already met you,
Yeah.
know what you're about.
Yeah.
Like
So
you.
old word of mouth is golden. You
It
can put a
is.
lot into advertising and things
Yeah.
like that, but word of
Absolutely.
mouth is
It might be different these days because of social media. You could stand out a little bit by something you've made, posted on social media if you're really big on social media, which you
Yeah.
can do before you've really established yourself in the industry. That wasn't available as an option for me at all. My career's beginnings precede social media by a long way. But yeah, it's just a very long process to kind of put your name out there, meet people,
Yeah.
and that's really where the long-term work is going to come from. I'm being employed by people on Blue Planet 3, which has been in production for the last year, by people that I met 20 plus years ago on that
Yeah.
work experience. Get crazy. Yeah, it's unbelievable how it works like that.
What are the basics you need to become pro?
The basics of being pro. You've got to have a can-do attitude. I think you've got to have really thick skin because there's a lot of rejection
Yeah.
to get over.
I've had difficulty with that through the years.
It's
Yeah.
really hard. Like, if you are someone who takes no and just leaves it as that and just walks away, then you're not going to struggle. You've got to learn to
Yeah.
be really resilient. If it's important to you and you want it bad enough, then you've just got to navigate all of the no's, get them turned into yeses, basically. And I think I think it's a survival of the most resilient.
Okay.
It's a long-term game.
Yeah. Very,
You
very
put
good advice.
tons of energy and effort into the first year or two of your career, but it's got to be something you can sustain for a long period of time because there'll be ups and downs. It'll be going really well for a few years, but then something in the industry could change. It goes really quiet.
Yeah.
And then you've got to kind of find it within yourself to motivate yourself again, pick yourself up and keep driving forward.
Yeah. Brilliant. What was the biggest challenge you faced starting out, and how did you overcome it?
Um,
So sometimes we might have already covered this in
yeah, I think it's it's a massive it's a massive challenge going from complete nobody to enter an industry where you've got to, your name is everything and your reputation is everything. Going from nothing, it's just like scaling this huge mountain.
Yeah.
Where do you begin? You know, where,
Oh,
what are
it's
the first
impossible.
steps?
Yeah.
And I think it's just, it took me most of my 20s to figure out what I wanted to do
Mhm.
and what I was going to be best at, because those two things aren't necessarily
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
thing.
massive. Yeah, yeah.
You know, I wanted to be an underwater cameraman, but there was so many steps to go from where I was to where that was.
Yeah, I wanted to be like a fashion photographer because I love the lighting and
Yeah,
everything, but it turns out that I was much more into sport. I've always done sport all my life, so
yeah,
that was truer to me.
yeah.
So you've got to work out your path.
You've got to, and you can't have someone tell that. There's no shortcuts either. You've got
Yeah.
to like put yourself out there, get lots of as much varied experience as you can.
Mhm.
I did so many different things in my 20s. I even did some network marketing,
Okay.
because when it got tough, it's like, well, I've got to try and make some money come in.
Yeah.
I did corporate videos, I did sound recording, I got some work in the TV industry, but I knew that kind of camera work was what I wanted. I wanted to be on location. I wanted to kind of be making the stuff, filming the stuff,
Mhm.
like using my creativity in that way. I've always felt like I was a creative person,
Yeah.
and I think setting up shoots in the office wasn't necessarily my skill. I
Yeah.
didn't come from a scientific background. I think I found out that on that that work experience I did at BBC and that first initial work, most of the people that I was with were zoology, biology backgrounds,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't me. I wasn't a
Okay.
scientific brain.
Yeah, this came up in a previous podcast with James West. It was about National Geographic and how
Mm.
the qualifications you need weren't just photography or videography. You need to
Yeah,
have a degree in like some sort of science as well, which is
yeah,
similar to what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. And also, to get into diving and underwater, you've got to go diving.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
some of the advice I got given from people in the industry is like, well, you've just got to get your diving up to a point where it's automatic. You're not even thinking about
Mhm.
it. Only then can you kind of think to have a camera in your hand. So there was lots of experience to get all through your 20s, like TV production, camera work, diving.
Yeah.
And I basically spent years and years and years with not a lot of money to begin with, like figuring out how to kind of keep on edging forward on those elements and basically bringing all that experience
Mhm.
together. Um, and 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 that's basically what I did.
Cool. How has your style or approach evolved since you began, do you think? I mean, it might not have, but do you?
Yeah. I think it probably has over a 20-year career. I
Okay.
feel like I've been pushing to
Still got a little VHS, little pop
yeah,
out, like,
exactly. I think you have to evolve continually,
Mhm.
actually. I think if you think if you think you've done it all and you've made it all, that's not, oh, it's that. It's clicking.
Yeah, I was hearing that. I thought it's the autofocus,
It
right?
is, yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought it
kind of
was like something
should be
clicking or
fine though
something.
on my.
Yeah.
Can you see the
It's
screen?
moving a lot.
I'm blinded by the sun.
And it's all steamed.
Now I've got a camera on me. How has your style or approach evolved since you began?
Difficult to know, because I think my reality 20 plus years ago
Mhm.
is completely different to what it is now.
Yeah,
I think some of the things are the same. I think you can never rest on your laurels too much. I think I've learned that in the last couple of years when the industry's overall got a bit quieter for a lot of people,
yeah.
myself included. You've got to reinvent yourself again. And I
Mhm.
think that process never really goes away. I think you always have
Mm.
to show up and be the best version of yourself.
Yeah,
You can't ever take this career for granted,
yeah.
because I think it could be taken away from you at any moment.
Mhm.
So I think always almost scared that, where's the next bit of work going to come from? Um, but I think I've probably got more confidence with who I am because of all the experience that I've accumulated over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I think I've put a lot into practice. Um,
So it's not necessarily like shooting style or something like you go from 35 millimeter film to medium format, or now you shoot everything pink, or you know what I mean? I guess maybe that's more of a photography thing.
yeah,
Your kit will evolve with you, and
yeah.
does that affect like the
I,
type of cameras you use, or?
I think it's because I think from what I do, I don't necessarily consider myself to have a particular style.
Yeah, it's a kind of almost a
I'm not like a DOP that works in film.
redundant question almost, you know?
I think I kind of have to be completely adaptable to every brief that I've got. So, on one hand, I still make
Yeah.
children's TV with Deadly 60. So I've been doing Deadly 60 for the last, you know, 10, 12, 15 years
Okay.
since the series 3. We're now on series 7 or 8. Um, that's running around with the camera trying to capture the action live as it unfolds. And then on the other hand, I can work on what we call blue chip sequences, which are behavioral based sequences of underwater wildlife behavior.
Yeah.
You know, for things like Blue Planet 3 and other big things that are on Netflix and Apple and things like that. So I have to adapt my style to whatever breed
Yeah,
it is.
fingers on the pulse kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oopsie. So I think that's one thing. You just have to be super adaptable,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to work and collaborate with the director, the producer, the assistant producer on location. It's a real lovely collaborative thing. It's never my vision.
Yeah.
I've never really made my own
You're
film.
part of a team. Yeah. It's
Absolutely part of
a
a
bigger
team, and
production.
generally
Yeah.
there's a much bigger picture. I'm generally working on a big series where there's like 6, 8, 10 episodes,
Mm.
and I'm just doing one little 4 or 5 minute segment
Yeah.
within the bigger picture. So there's often quite strong guidance from editorial about generally what we want the series style to be.
Yeah.
So I have to adopt that really.
Yeah.
I can't just go off my own and go, right, I'm going to do it this way.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's interesting because that's like trying to compare careers and with photography shoots and things like that. Maybe, or that's what I was trying to say when we were setting up is like, because in a way you're freelance as well, but it's having longer contracts, or it's not just one shoot. You've got like 16 shoots if they were photo shoots comparison.
Yeah.
And then yeah, as a photographer, you go off and you have an experimental test shoot, and you'll go and do some crazy, I don't know, snowboarding shots with a weird filter but I guess it's different. So when we were setting up, I was kind of thinking, can photography be more of a loner career? But I guess if you're working, you can still have a similar amount of production and relentless. You're shooting for a magazine just relentlessly month after month. I guess it's the difference between going kind of job to job
Yeah.
or a regular run of jobs with the same company. So
Yeah.
TV production is a bigger beast. You know, there's more
Yeah.
momentum. It's a huge,
Yeah.
bigger kind of industry maybe. Or
Yeah, I feel like it's easier to become established in TV because there's more outlets for work
yeah, okay,
available. I've always looked at photographers and think, how do you make a living
yeah,
doing that?
yeah,
I think back in the day when it was on film and everyone shot on film, it was a very much more hierarchical.
mm-hmm.
You had to really prove yourself and you really had to know your kit.
Yeah,
You could say the same for film and TV production, really, but I think because the kind of bar for entry is probably much lower across
yeah,
all formats. You know, you can make a film, you can take photos on a phone that most people, if not everyone,
yeah,
has access
yeah,
to.
yeah. It's changed a lot. Yeah.
It's changed so much. It's no longer, I suppose, an elitist thing. It's
Mm.
kind of completely leveled the playing field, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
I think so. I think like for the last 30 years, it's been such a change. You
Yeah.
kind of, because I was thinking about it the last couple of days when we were all kicking around as mates. I was the only one who had a camera. I was like, yeah, no, hang on, we've got to take a picture of this. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. And then when I was living in London, I kind of stopped living in London about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But even then, you didn't like socialize as much, but you kind of think you're just on your own trying to get work. And it feels like you're more on your own because you just live in your bubble. You're
Yeah.
trying to get work and have meetings.
Yeah, you do.
But living down on the coast now, having a better lifestyle, you kind of mix around with friends more
Yeah.
and down the gym more. So you've got a better lifestyle. But it does seem that everybody's taking pictures. Everybody's got an Instagram account. Everyone's shooting video clips. And it's kind of just evolved so much that not that you can feel lost, but you're just, I don't know, you kind of got to make sure, well, either redefining yourself or maintaining your connections and your contacts.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's kind of people move on and it's quite a competitive world out there. It's kind of,
It is. It's really hard, and I think that feeling never goes away. There's always going to be someone who wants to take your place, who wants to do a better job than you.
yeah,
And you've still got to really want to do this, I think.
yeah.
You can never get, which is hard because it's quite a brutal industry to be, you know, it's quite
So,
unforgiving.
so how do you see, like, how long you want to keep going for? Like, because you've got a young family and
Yeah.
things go into your priorities shift, don't they? It's like your
Yeah.
values change throughout every decade of your life.
Yeah.
And, I kind of gave up a bit on London. I was like, I'm stressed out. I want to live a better lifestyle, be on the beach and
Yeah.
windsurfing and
Yeah.
build my work around my life as
Right.
opposed to just
Yeah.
chasing work because that was the only
Yeah.
thing that made me happy. Now I've
Yeah.
got loads of things that make me happy.
Yeah.
Do you have a kind of question about longevity or?
Yeah, it is for it's very easy to give yourself 100% at this trying to get established in this if it's just you. So much easier because you've got all the flexibility. You don't have to worry about someone else's opinion, or you're not trying to make this work for someone else or a family.
Yeah.
So it's almost a lot easier to just be. It's almost like a single person's game
Yeah.
to begin with, and
Yeah.
and you need to give it 100% because it's so hard to establish yourself unless you give up everything, and you have to sacrifice things that you might enjoy, like sports.
Yeah.
You probably sacrifice friendships because you can't be there. I've missed weddings. I've missed important things.
Yeah.
Things that you naturally take for granted. I've had to give up what I really loved about sport when I was a teenager because I've never really found the time to be able to do this career as well as maybe be a part of a team, for example, because you're quite flaky. Like,
Yeah.
you get jobs come up, that has to be the priority.
Yeah.
I think that has relaxed in more recent years. Since having a family in the last 6 years, it's been a harder relationship with the work because it's a love-hate relationship I have with it.
Okay.
I still want to do it. It's, for us, really the only form of income that we have as a family.
Yeah.
So it has to work on that level.
Yeah.
I still haven't feel like I've completely fulfilled everything that I set out to achieve in the career. So I'm
Okay.
still motivated.
Still got some goals. Yeah. To
I've
keep
still got
shooting for. Yeah.
goals. Um, but I also want to spend time at home, doing normal things,
Yeah.
doing exercise,
Being a normal person.
being a normal person.
Yeah.
And I think I did for a good long period of my, the first half of my career was all about sacrifice and giving stuff up in order to try and create a career that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And now I kind of want to enjoy the fruits of
Yeah.
those
Exactly.
early sacrifices, and actually start enjoying
Yeah.
life more. And it has been a real tussle the last 5 or 6 years of like wanting to be home and enjoy watching my kids grow up, but also needing and still wanting to be away. I think I created an existence for myself where the only way that I can earn money is if I go away from the family for
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And that has been quite a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet.
Really.
Yeah. Cool. What's been your most memorable or unusual shoot so far?
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
Because where have you just come back from anyway?
I've just come back from Oman, 2 weeks in
Okay.
Oman. It was a very short shoot for Delhi 60. 3 days of underwater filming and then just a morning of filming in a cave.
Wow.
That's my most recent job. What's the most memorable? I don't know how to. I think my politician's answer was that I've been involved in so many amazing, extraordinary
Yeah.
shoots. Different parts of the world, seeing some incredible wildlife that only really we've had access to. It's sort of even off the beaten track to a lot of tourism. We work with scientists and they've got the only access that we then piggyback on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I kind of feel like a lot. Hello, Chinook.
It's going to fly straight over. His flight path is suddenly over this garden for some
That's
reason.
happened fairly often.
Yes, he's
He's
banking.
coming up. He's coming from the interview. He's coming lower. I'll check. Go ahead.
Pretty going to the white, man.
Yeah,
It's great because that's been going non-stop.
that's good. Wow. Those chicks are amazing.
Just wonder what they're like.
I know. They come down from RAF Odeon because that's where they're based, near my mum. But they've come really low across here, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
And we often see the Coast Guard helicopter, really quite close quarters. That's coming past all the time through here.
Yeah, they hover, don't they?
It is like living in an aviation place.
So you were in the middle of your political answer, but okay, is there
From the heart answer, what is it?
or your first big shoot, or a better question, which is later on, what's the let's see if we can find it. What's the biggest mistake you've made on a shoot or near miss we could all learn from?
Oh, blimey.
Because I must imagine. I remember standing on a rock. I think I was on holiday somewhere, trying to change lenses and halfway in the water, and I was like, oh, and I just saved it. But it's not as noddy as
I've
that.
probably made so many mistakes. I've just forgotten about them.
You've got like
'Cause-
fail safes, so you kind of that's not the
Yeah, it's like, right, I've done that. I won't do that again. I think
you must have tons of cards as well. You're shooting to, and
yeah. I think early on, I probably went in the water with the lens cap still on my underwater camera.
okay, yeah,
And you look at it, and it probably wasn't when I was doing it for a job. I think I kind of made a lot of mistakes in my own
So do you
time.
do your own? So do you do your own things even now? Do you do your own like projects and bits and bobs or?
Um, I'd say since the industry got quieter for me from the summer of 23, I've had to be a bit more adaptable as to how I spend my time. When the
Okay.
work hasn't been there, it's been probably down 50% of what I was used to.
Yeah.
And I've
So to keep creative
to
or to
keep
keep
creating,
you?
to get my hand in, to
Yeah.
keep feeling like I'm
Keep the
still,
machine oiled, kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to go away and do some archive filming that it's I'd done some filming at a resort in the Maldives for a BBC shoot, something called Our Changing Planet, on a couple of occasions.
Mhm.
The manager said, if you ever want to come back and do some filming for us, spend some time here, do your own filming, then you're more than welcome to. And she said that at a time when it was super busy, and I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
Yeah.
Then it kind of got quieter about a year later, and I thought, oh, I wonder if that's still, if I have an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with her, and I basically said, love to come and film for you. I've got some time on my hands right now. And she said, yeah, you can come as long, bring your family, come as long as
Oh,
you want.
perfect. Yeah.
So we all went as a family for, in the end, 8 weeks to
Wow.
the Maldives.
Wow.
Um, and I was able to film for their resort, for their science team there, as well as film my own stuff, a lot of which I've been able to, or some of which I've been able to sell for things like Blue Planet 3
Okay.
and Ocean with David Attenborough took some of my stuff. I was there when the corals bleached and I was at the height of the bleaching. So I
Okay.
filmed kind of like widespread devastation.
All right.
Sort of valuable footage in terms of
Yeah.
conservation films. I haven't made, I've always, what I haven't done in my career so far is make a film. I haven't yet put a stamp of this is how I view the world, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I've kind of gone down the route of definitely being a jobbing cameraman,
Mhm.
trying to be as creative and influential in that series and program as I can be. But it is kind of, I have, I suppose, experienced more of a mainstream career trajectory.
Yeah.
I don't think I've either had the bravery or um, I think it's a totally different step to actually come and make your own film. And I really have a lot of
Mm.
respect for people
Yeah. I think
who
it's
do that.
insane. Yeah.
And the people even making their own regular content, for short form stuff. But they're, that's great. That's being like creative. That's being adaptable. That's like using your imagination. And I think there probably is a film in me somewhere at some point.
Mhm.
And maybe I've spent my whole career developing skills so that one day I can tell
Yeah.
the story that I want to tell in my own words.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
But yeah, I think it's a good point. It came up in the previous podcast as well. Chat I had with James that yeah, in between work shoots, just shooting your own personal stuff, keeping the
Yeah.
machine oiled, and just so you're still in the game in your headspace.
Yeah.
It's quite
I
important.
think so. I think that's important. I do like when I come home, I think because I've got family here, I I really do like to kind of often switch off from the job. It's often been quite an intense period of time away, and you just throw yourself into it. You sort of live and breathe that team, what you're filming. You kind of put everything into that.
Mm.
And I think when I come home, I do see this, as a bit of an escape
Yeah.
from
It's
that.
getting the balance, work-life
Yeah,
balance, isn't it? For everybody and in every industry, it's
yeah.
really tricky. You got to
Yeah, but
try and
then
look after that.
is it equally important? If there's enough work to kind of keep you going from job to job, I kind of feel like I haven't needed to kind of keep in touch with the camera side of things when I've been at home. But when there's been a bit more gap between those jobs, I think then it's important to,
Mhm.
to kind of clue
Okay.
up on it.
If you could have any other job within the industry, what would it be? So, like for me, I always, when I was cutting my teeth, I was a lighting technician. So
Yeah.
we just set up like an assistant to photographers.
Yeah.
You just set up all the lights, and you'd have boxes and boxes of kit that you've got to get to Madrid one week and then Milan the next week, and rig it all up. And part of me would like almost not the safer route, but just a simpler path of just sticking to that and just being like a gaffer or a grip or a lighting technician and stuff.
1 second.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay.
Are you? Yeah, cool.
I boxed him in. I thought it was your van.
No, yeah. I think it must be next door to his carpenter or something.
Yeah. Is in front of that's your drive though, isn't it?
Is there a drive on this side? Yeah, there shouldn't be.
That double garage isn't all completely yours.
No.
Get involved. I mean,
Amazing. Was he the carpenter then?
yeah.
And he takes photos as well.
Apparently, yeah.
Amazing. There you go. Everyone's a photographer.
That's a
Proven.
because I mean it's quite. And turn off today. What's going on? Yeah. this is quite nice because a part of me just wants to moan about all the jobs I lost, like how it's affected my psychology, how
It's
stressed
brutal,
I am,
isn't it?
how other people. Because like that's kind of the reason. One of the reasons I left London is I just felt that every the every day I was waking up, I had to find work again.
Yeah.
Find work, like start the engine up.
Regenerate every time.
And it's like
It's exhausting.
from like a personal kind of lifestyle and like spiritual angle, which doesn't seem to go hand in hand with a mainstream media career kind of thing. I was just like, because now I've kind of had a bit more personal growth as you get older, naturally have these kind of things, and being into yoga and all of that stuff as well. But see the world or my life as in abundance and lack of. You can kind of, the glass is half empty or half full, that kind of psychology thing.
Yeah.
And it felt like with my photography in London that it was lack of. I was just always fighting over this last bit of pie or last bit of cake and just trying and trying. And I was like, this isn't good for me. I need to make a change somehow. And whether I subconsciously that happened because I wasn't happy and I didn't get as much work but anyway, made some changes and moved back down to the coast. But just see things, but then that might be very true, but that's just my psychology. It's like when you're looking for a new car or a new van or something, like before I had my like VW van, my first one, it's like, oh my God, they're really hard to get hold of. And it's quite stressful. But if you've got like 10 all in a garage, I know it gets way more expensive in a garage, but at least you've got the relaxed nature to just pick and choose. And another final example is when I moved back down here on the coast, and a mate was running it runs a landscape gardening industry, so that's how we kind of met as well, through that kind of work. But we'd all turn up at the yard, 10 15 of us, and you go, right, you three go off and do that job, you three go and do that, right, you go and lay that patio, you chop down that tree. And it's such amount of work. And in London I'm fighting for just one job. And I think, is that my psychology, the way I look? Why was I not trying to get 10 for me and my mates? Why didn't we club together to try and get work for each? And it's just an interesting spin on how you evolve.
Do photographers working that way? Are you all just individuals, like having to
Yeah.
make your own, unless you're part of a collaboration, an agency, and I don't know if that's how.
Yeah, I
it
think
works.
you're still within that, be competitive. You might be pissed off you don't get one job
Right,
and somebody else
yeah.
does. But that's the other thing. So getting older,
Yeah.
and I'm like, pushing for more work in London again, and a small job comes up, and you think, well, why doesn't somebody else just shoot? Why do I have to shoot it?
Yeah.
What's this like? It's a bit like Hinduism and Buddhism stuff, but we're individual, but why not just share everything? Why are we so hell bent on it's got to be me? I've got to prove myself, and it's that whole. It's a bit of a rant, but that's kind of why I did it. But it's like success. So when I moved back, like some people never left the coast here where I grew up,
Yeah.
and they've got families, more half-paid mortgages. Who's more successful? Me, that was like trying to struggle and strive in London and Madrid and be successful. What am I trying to
Followed
prove?
a dream, and that's
Yeah.
surely the most important thing.
Well, there you go. You see. So yeah, that's
Are
the
those
thing.
people that stayed here? I'm not saying they are, but do they have regrets? Did they have dreams that they decided not to pursue, and you did? And
Yeah.
I think I think that's all I ever wanted to do, was just when when the opportunity arose, like out of education finally, and you've got all these crossroads, like you can make your own path, and I think
It's a lot of freedom as well, because
so
I
much
like with
freedom.
it. That's you're not
And
a 9 to 5 kind of thing.
no, and I think, I don't know where this is going, but I think I had early experience. I took a year out between college and university, so I delayed going to university for a year, and I did take some.
Yeah, I delayed a year. Well, I skipped a year. I had to redo a couple of things, and then
Right, and that was like my first taste of normal employment.
Yeah.
I worked in a cinema for 3 months. I worked in a garden centre for 8 months. An enjoyable way to do it, but I kind of knew.
He worked in a cinema.
I worked
Cool,
in
fine.
Basingstoke. Yeah, I was serving popcorn and drinks.
Brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah,
watch movies for free when you want.
Yeah, once a week you got free tickets. It was great. It's late 90s, so amazing films came out.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I don't know, I had a brush of normal employment And I think I knew that I didn't want to do something run of the mill. I think at that point I knew
Yeah.
that I wanted to do something a bit more exciting, something a bit more maybe ambitious.
Yeah.
I kind of believed in myself to kind of go ahead, and I suppose I've been buoyed up for years of swimming, and competitive sport really kind of gives you some powers, maybe. It feels like it does. It's
Yeah.
like I think I could
Oh,
take on the
I
world.
didn't know that about you then. So you're quite active when you were younger as well and
Yeah,
sporty.
yeah. And I
Okay.
think I had some really good
And I guess you
coaches.
have to be going underwater and all of that as well. It's not,
Yeah.
you'll be quite fit.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a physical
Okay.
job. So I think that background of sport and fitness has definitely helped me in my career. But I think it's just the motivation to kind of to go swimming with my sport that kind of I did a lot of them, but that was one that kind of I probably got the furthest with or gave the most time to.
Mhm.
And you have to be self-motivated, to get up in the morning, like before everyone's like got up yet, or you've done a
Yeah.
2-hour training session. Um, and I think, you start achieving things and then you start setting higher and harder goals, and it's all down to you to achieve those.
Yeah.
And your coach, obviously, there's,
So
you
you
got
have
the
a
team.
strong like backbone or
Yeah.
desire, and yeah, which is
Yeah.
coming up a lot in some of these
And I
questions. Yeah.
feel like that for me, a kind of background of sports gave me that, sense of dedication, a bit of sacrifice,
Mhm.
going above and beyond,
Mhm.
working yourself as hard as pushing yourself physically and mentally, and a sense of competition. I suppose it's a competitive world out there.
Mm.
It's not like no one's going to hand you a
Yeah,
free pass through
because you
life.
deserve it. Or that's the
No,
other thing. A
it's
big thing
like
for me is yeah, not thinking you deserve it, but like skill. So I was quite good at football, quite good at tennis, and when I was doing my A levels, I was like, what am I doing? I was just randomly picking subjects,
yeah,
and there was no real kind of career guidance. So I was like,
yeah,
well, what am I good at?
yeah,
What are my skills? And then kind of got really into photography kind of that way, and then changed course and literally did some different diplomas and A levels and then degrees.
mm, mm,
But it's trying to find what's true to you within yourself, but
mm,
then that's great. That's well, the pat on the back, but
yeah.
still, it's so competitive that
Yeah.
you don't
It
deserve it more than
no,
anybody else,
it's
and
it's a hard
it's
route
up
to
to
take,
chance
but I
almost.
think ultimately it's the most fulfilling route, and
Mm.
I'm really pleased that when I was young, like teenage and 20s, I had the guts to kind of do myself a really big challenge
Yeah,
that's taken me half my life so
yeah,
far to try and achieve and
yeah.
continue to achieve. I'd recommend, I don't know if it's a cliche, but I do think it's worth trying to like give yourself a shot at what you wanna be in life. I
Yeah,
think it's really worth it.
yeah, yeah,
For me, I feel like it's paid off and it's given me a lot of fulfillment. It's really hard. It's like a harder route to take in some capacity, but I think, it's not for everyone. I think learning how to exist as a freelancer
mm,
takes a lot. It's a different way of life,
yeah.
you know?
You got to be self motivated. Yeah, I
Yeah, you
think
gotta
it's quite
create,
tough.
but I think that always appealed to me. Like, when
Mhm.
I was young, it's like, I'm gonna get as far as my own personal motivation and ability is going to take me.
Mhm.
And I quite like that sense of
Yeah,
responsibility of my own life completely.
yeah,
I didn't want to give that away to an employer who was just going to,
yeah,
have that exchange of time for money. I was really quite, you know what? I think I've got enough to kind of put into this to try and propel me far.
yeah.
And that's all I went on really. And I just never really gave up on that.
Brilliant. Do you have any pre-shoot rituals or habits? Or as well, another one that's similar is, do you have like a lifestyle or a regime you follow to stay kind of fit in the mind kind of thing as well? For me, like exercise is quite important every day.
Yeah.
Do you have certain things
I
you
think
do?
I've got back into fitness in the last few years, and it is something that I neglected. I think from probably about my mid-20s to my mid-30s, I don't think I exercised much at
Yeah,
all, and I that was like a decade period of time where I think I'm still paying for now. I
okay.
think I was, super duper fit as a teenager and in my early 20s doing competitive sport, and then I had to give up that side of who I was. Like, to be honest, that was my first love. I wanted to be a sportsman, like
Okay.
growing up.
Yeah,
Like, I'd say creative stuff, photography, TV work, that for me has been my like real life career that I had to then do when I'd had to give up my sporting ambitions and
yeah,
dreams, basically.
yeah,
Um, so I'd say I did have a few niggly lower back issues. My body started to feel like it was feeling its age from about my mid-30s onwards
Okay.
until my 40s. I think on my 40th birthday, um, I was on a shoot in Thailand. We were packing up kit, lots of like lifting of pelly cases, awkward lifting, awkward like bending over and putting stuff into cases. My back spasmed
Oh, really?
on my 40th birthday.
Yeah.
And it was a wake up call. And
Yeah.
that had happened a few times. I hadn't been keeping my body strong enough.
Yeah.
And I think the older you get, the more you have to do it. And I think I've spent the last 5 years really getting on top of it. And especially the last year or two, I've got much better at doing regular exercise.
Yeah.
And I think I go to the gym. I try to do my core routine, keep myself strong. Because I think, it is a physical job that I do.
You're gonna need it later down
I
the
do
road
it.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If my body gives up on me, that's the end of my
Yeah.
career.
Brilliant. I'm just gonna check that camera. You couldn't
Yeah.
swivel that top to you and just
Yeah.
when I sit there, you and check my frame.
It's gone blank.
Is it just no? Because I'm in the frame. It's quite dark.
It's like it's gone to sleep.
Okay.
I don't know if it's recording. Can't tell if it's recording or not.
What initial card? Oh, gosh. It's a bit of sleep, isn't it? Oh yeah, card 4. Okay.
Okay. It's like you need an assistant
Yeah, I thought that
on
was
this
that's
stuff.
me over.
Do you have anyone who would help
Look
you
down
with
here. I
this sort of
got
thing?
someone that messaged me, but I'd have to drag them down. I think.
Yeah. There must be someone local who's quite
Yeah, that'd be quite handy.
a keen photographer who's like just out of school or something.
And that was recording audio as well. Right. How about that? It's running now. Well, at least I'm in it. Yeah.
You're in.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit more to go. You kind of covered that one, as in what do you do to stay creatively inspired, just keeping fit, daily habits to stop you going mad.
There's definitely things I would change about my career, I think.
Yeah.
That's quite
If you could do it again, kind of thing, or
Yeah. If I had my time over again.
yeah, there's loads. There's loads I would do. I always felt like not like I'd never had any business planning and like just to
Yeah.
know what a business plan was
Right.
and business education.
Yeah.
I've done some stuff recently, like now, and it's like, wow, that would have been so helpful just to have a clear
Absolutely.
plan for things.
You
You
never
know?
taught that really. There's so much like financial planning you've got to figure out in life, especially as a freelancer. Kind of everything's on you really to make everything work.
Because I kind of did everything. So I was doing model shoots, athlete shoots. I was doing workshops for assistants, workshops for young photographers. And I could have just gone, oh, hey, why don't I just do workshops for assistants wanting to assist sports photographers, for example, and just focus on that, and then just get that every week. I'm just doing which is the freedom of creativity. Just pick and choose what you like, and an abundance in somewhere like London. You can just float around, and it's amazing. But then when things change, or your values change, or work dries up a bit, you're like, oh, you haven't got a plan in place. That kind of got me a bit. You didn't have it.
Absolutely. I think I've always been striving to kind of put an alternative stream of income in place. I think I've spent 20 years trying to make my main career um, fund something else that could pay, so I don't have to worry. I don't want to go away to earn money.
Yeah.
I want to do it because I love doing it.
Yeah.
But the two are unfortunately tied together. You
Yeah.
kind of have to. You
Yeah.
do it for work. But I'd rather have like, it'd be amazing if there was some form of passive income coming in to kind of take care of all costs. And then every job I did, I only did it because I really wanted to do it. And that's a luxury position to be in. I think some people would be in that position. Lucky, and that's a lovely place to be.
Yeah.
And I think I probably spent 20 years figuring out how to put things in place to only really do what I do as a purely creative pursuit. And I know that's it's not reality, unfortunately.
No.
Unfortunately, reality hits, and there is a need to make money and make a living and earn income on creative and that it means that every job you do isn't necessarily what you want to be doing fulfilling wise, but it is what you need to be doing to kind of keep the ball
I
from
think
the
definitely you
door.
need like 2 or 3 income streams, so it's not all just hell bent.
Yeah.
And so if things do dry up, but then that's the thing. Some people, it's like I had other like colleagues in London that were just absolutely nailing it. It's just relentless work coming in, but that might not be
No.
your past.
No. But I'd say I feel like going back to like the beginnings of my career, I probably that kind of self-belief, I think could have been verging on arrogance potentially.
Okay.
I kind of felt like I could do the job.
Yeah,
And I went into the industry as like a very novice, feeling like I could do this.
yeah,
And I didn't maybe, even though I was doing everything right to kind of get experience, I kind of probably thought that I was better than I was.
okay,
And I kind of wish I hadn't been like that early on
yeah,
because I don't think I had the right attitude to begin with about being an apprentice first. I feel like I missed out on an apprenticeship
okay, well,
type
yeah,
position. I never really had a mentor. I never spent years working with, one of the, good regular, established
yeah,
people in the industry and
yeah,
learning from them and helping them. And I just don't think I had the right personality
yeah.
or
It's hard, isn't it?
mindset
Because you want
back
to be
then.
bolshy and to give
Yeah.
you the go get them,
Yeah.
but then as well, you want to be kind of more
You also have to
mindful and
learn.
record more
Yeah.
and observe more of what's going on. And
So I felt like I went on, even though I kind of felt like I got my hands on camera work relatively early in my career. I think from the age of 27, I think I was like actually shooting stuff that went onto television.
yeah,
I kind of wish, and if I'd have known that it was going to take pretty much all of my 20s to really only start getting good jobs into my early 30s, I basically had my whole 20s
mm,
where I was doing all sorts of things, gaining experience. But one of the things I didn't prioritize, which I think in hindsight I would have put much more emphasis in, is really creating an apprenticeship for myself,
okay,
like being a really good dog's body to
yeah,
someone and having a really good working relationship with
yeah,
someone
yeah,
that I was completely, you know, lower down the pecking order.
yeah.
But I think I went
For
out
being amazing at that
wanting
role.
to be like number one. I wanted to be the cameraman from day one.
Yeah. It
And I
was the
think,
same with me. Same for me. I was
yeah,
always like thinking, oh, I could do that as well. I could do
yeah,
better than him, or the photographers you work for, and you're
yeah,
hoping for the opportunity.
yeah,
But then when it comes, like, oh shit, this
I
is
know.
like really difficult. And
Yeah. And I think that almost level of kind of self-belief, confidence has propelled me far. But I do sometimes wonder, I've kind of had to make up everything that I do as how I would do it best.
mhm.
And it may not be that it's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Because I think I missed out on that formative learning
yeah,
from more established people for
it
years,
was
which I would
hard.
have loved because I just don't have that experience.
Yeah,
I'm still doing stuff that's like, well, I don't really know what you're supposed to do. I think this is how I would do it.
mm,
But then that probably means it's a lot slower because then you've got to make your own mistakes.
mm,
I think I've always been, to me, as my mum would probably tell you, that I was a child that couldn't be told how to do things.
okay,
I think I was just born that way,
yeah.
where I don't think I was naturally that kind of, I don't think I ever really listened to my dad or what he was like trying to tell me
Yeah,
advice.
that's another question that was in another later on, but it's like,
And you
what
would
do you
have
think as a
that
kid?
regret.
You're still a kid. How do you
Yeah,
think the qualities you have as a child you carry through your life,
yeah,
and you're still like that? And I'm like,
yeah,
get pissed off when you don't get a job. You can't have everything.
yeah,
Like, no, I want that.
yeah.
It's funny what we learn when we grow
Absolutely.
up.
So I wish, my dad died when I was 19, and I think
Okay.
I never was mature enough to kind of appreciate him.
Yeah.
I don't think. My mum's still around, but she's also just let me find my own way.
Yeah.
She's never been someone to kind of heavy-handed
Yeah.
parent. She really let us all kind of, I've got two
Yeah. My dad was
sisters as
like that.
well.
Let me just kind of
Yeah,
get on
it's
with
like
it.
go and make the life. And she couldn't really help because she didn't really understand my industry or being a freelancer.
Yeah.
She's never really been able to offer. But also my dad, not having him since I was 19, maybe if he was still around when I was in my 30s and maybe getting a bit more mature, a bit more reflective, that would have been a great time to say, how are you supposed to do this thing called life?
Yeah.
Because I just feel like I've made up everything every step of the way.
Yeah.
It's all down to how I would have done it
Yeah.
rather than learning from people who've gone there before.
Yeah. It's really, really
I think
tricky.
that's helped me, but it's also been a bit of a hindrance as well.
Yeah, you can. How do you ever get the balance exactly right? Like
Mm.
10% less freedom to roam, and then
Yeah,
being more strict and told what to do. It's
absolutely.
like it's
I
tricky.
suppose so. Coming full circle, I think my advice would be try to make yourself learn from other people for as long a period of time
Yeah,
as possible, so it's not all on you from
yeah.
day one.
Because
And
you will always be learning. You'll always stuff you can learn.
absolutely,
Yeah,
and if you can learn from people who have established themselves in the industry and just see how they are, it's also about how you are as a personality on shoot is key.
yeah,
And you're not bullshit. You are. These are really calm, really gifted people, and you just got to try and learn how you are and your personality. It's
yeah.
the Chinook again. Oh, I'm
Wow.
showing off, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. Just a couple to go then, really.
Mm.
What do you think we are all striving for as photographers, videographers, filmmakers? Why are we doing it? Why are we? Because I often imagine, like, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, what would we be doing? This whole industry, especially more with social media, that we're just kind of feeding, and like, where's it all going? Because it's could also be just one giant distraction.
Yeah.
Could also go deeper and say it's disconnecting us from
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you think we're striving for? I mean, I guess it's unique for everybody, but is it
Mm.
to be successful, to prove ourselves, to get love from our parents? There's the whole.
Yeah.
Every question can have a psychological element to it, but
What a massive question.
yeah, sorry, I should come back next
Yeah.
week.
Um, there's definitely a few levels to that. I'd say I think the longer I go on, the more I feel like we're supposed to be in nature, human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've all, as a society, become much more urbanized than we ever should have become. I'm very lucky that in my job, I generally get to spend time completely immersed in nature for like a few weeks and like off the beaten track.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is like a lot of it is diving. So I'm diving on a coral reef, for example, and I'm kind of at one with nature. And I think I'm a really happy human being when I'm doing that. And I'm then also being creative at the same time and problem solving. So it feels like it ticks a lot of boxes for me in terms of the process of my work. And it is away from big human populations. And I think that stresses me out. I think I love being at one with nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so I think I'm driven to find a way to kind of spend more time outdoors with nature. And I luckily get to do that with my job, which is really fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate that. Um, and I think I'm just, I suppose, trying to strive for um, new ways of being creative, or people seeing me as a creative person,
Yeah.
or me being able to be on projects where I'm allowed to be creative and be a bit free. Because I think some of the best things that I've done have been, or one of the very few things I've done was a film called Jargo: A Life Underwater, which was an independent film, independently funded. It wasn't, it didn't have commissioners. It didn't, have money coming into it. It said, you must make us this film and it needs to be like this. It was
Mm-hmm.
like the director, James Reed, who went on to make lots of really amazing films, really good filmmaker, and Mark's best teacher, for example. So this was his first attempt at making his own film. And I was luckily involved in that process. So super fulfilling. And it was probably the most creatively fulfilling experience I've ever had, because it was just like, we don't know what this is going to be.
Yeah.
We don't know if this is going to be a short film, 10-minute thing. We don't know if it's going to be an hour-long feature-length film. We had 3 weeks just to explore, experiment, be creative, direct, make things happen whilst on location in the moment. And I think that's
Yeah.
how I love working.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe the most amazing feeling is being creative, shooting something and it working and looking unbelievable. That's why we do it. That's
Yeah.
the pull of it, because
Right.
it's like a connection to nature or magic
Yeah.
or God or something,
Yeah.
and you're directly hooked up to it and
Absolutely. And
capturing
it
it.
then doing wonderful things, like it being well received and
Yeah.
people being,
Inspiring
validating
other
who you
people
are
and
as well. It's
yeah.
like all that effort was like worth it, because you've actually helped produce a piece of work that's
Yeah.
been really well received by the critics and by audiences. And I think that's really important. I suppose I do quite a lot of shoots that, end up on TV, and, I'm proud of it, but they don't necessarily get propelled into like, I don't know what it is. Is it awards? Is it just, pat on the back from the industry? I think it's just respect. I think it's just,
Yeah.
I think I just want to be seen as someone who
Doing a really good job. Yeah.
that is a capable pair of hands, does a good job,
Yeah.
is flexible, can fulfill a brief, and adaptable, but ultimately can deliver where it matters,
Yeah.
when it counts. And I think that for me is really fulfilling.
And doesn't need the lens cap on at any moment
Yeah.
when you go under.
Doesn't run out of battery.
Yeah. So last one is, well, it's kind of, what message would you give to your younger self,
Yeah.
after everything you have learned so far in your career, which you kind of in a way kind of
Yeah.
answered, or if someone would listen to this Pro Talk podcast we've done, what's the one main takeaway they could have, or one thing they could action tomorrow maybe?
Yeah.
There's someone who's like
Yep.
just starting off, not got a clue of what they're doing or where they're going maybe.
Yeah. I think a lot of creative people, a lot of people have got a lot of ideas. I think ideas are really important, but they never get you that far.
Yeah.
I think the big thing that I think I wish I'd known more is just take action as soon as you
Okay.
can, even if it's not going to work perfectly how you want it to. And I think this is something that I can still do because I still kind of think about things, think about ideas. I think I've got ambitions and I want to do something, but then something inside me stops me. I still, I think, have to get through.
Yeah.
And I think if people can get through that sense of um,
Or procrastination or not. Yeah.
procrastination, just like doubting, self-doubt,
Yeah.
I think,
Because you can have a million ideas, but they
yeah,
just sit in a pot. You
exactly.
don't and action, and then, oh, that didn't work so well. Then
Yeah,
you have another one. And it clears for the.
absolutely. I think I'm just glad that the big thing that I took action on was like, I want to try and become a cameraman, an underwater cameraman. And I think that's the one thing that I really never let go of. But it's kind of as simple as that. It wasn't
Mhm.
that much more.
Okay.
It wasn't like, I want to make this film, I want to win that award. It was nothing to do that.
So like, yeah, who do you want to be?
Yeah,
What is the goal, and what's the
yeah.
yeah.
So I think make that first step to like do that, but you've got to keep making so many steps like to keep that up. But I think you've just got to know what is the most important thing that's going to fulfill you the most. Like, what do you want to be remembered for, or what?
Mm.
Not even that. It's for yourself. I
Yeah.
think I just want to reach the end of my life knowing that I gave it my best shot.
Yeah, and you did your thing, whatever it is,
Yeah,
but you did that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it could be really simple. And I think I just don't know why. I just basically had a teenage dream. I pursued it. It's been working out. It's been not working out, but it's generally been working out. And I think that for me has been enough. If that's all I achieved in life was just that I kind of fulfilled what I wanted to do out of life, then I think that would be enough.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks very much for coming on Pro Talk.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Vince, fab. Cheers. Cheers, man.